Blind optimism. The belief that good things will happen no matter what. Oftentimes ignoring potential problems that can cause the outcome to be undesirable due to the lack of proper preparation. An example of blind optimism is me from several months ago, when making the first video of this series where I model a house in a 3D software program. If you're new to the channel, there's no real need to go see the previous 2 videos in the series. They're linked, but each video is a standalone. So anyways, Exhibit A of Blind Optimism can be seen from this clip. After a while of thinking, I've just decided to pick and choose my favorite elements of each style and hope it looks nice. Exhibit B is the reference image I had prepared for the video, building my own house in 3D that I ended up not even using because I wasn't 100% set on the design. Exhibit C, the second video of this series, where I modeled a door. Now, a sharp eye might notice a certain discrepancy between the door I modeled and the door I had as a reference. An even sharper eye might notice the fact that the floors don't even match in the reference. So here I am, left to figure out what exactly I ought to do because blind optimism took hold of me. The original reference image I made was really just a bunch of mashed up images shoehorned into the shape of a house, with different architectural designs I quite liked from Victorian houses, Gothic churches, and so on. I'm now going to remind you, my wonderful viewers, of a thing I mentioned a while back, but I'm neither an architect nor am I an engineer. Yeah, clearly. I much prefer doing character art as opposed to environmental art, which is why I tried creating a reference with as little drawing on my part as physically possible. But that clearly worked very poorly to my favor, as there is no such thing as free lunch. So, back to the drawing board I go. Yay! I started out redoing the reference by shifting things around a little so that the floors would actually align, and worked more on the drawing to make it clearer to understand. And then I scrapped the whole thing because honestly, the design kinda sucked. I did, however, keep the circular tower thingy, officially known as a turret, and also parts of the balcony as they were the only redeeming qualities. I elongated the house in general, making it less of a square, and put arches inspired by Italian villas surrounding the house at the base. Another change was putting the front entrance technically on the 2nd floor, although I am stubbornly calling it the 1st floor, which gives me the opportunity to have a really beautiful staircase that I haven't really thought of a design yet. Hence the scribble art. I added a balcony to the 2nd, technically 3rd floor, just to add more dimension to the house, alongside a barrage of windows for that natural digital sunlight. With the original design, I wanted the roof to be similar to Luigi's Haunted Mansion from the first game, with an open area at the top. Admittedly, I still want that kind of open roof, but I'm no longer married to the idea, though the divorce was amicable, so we'll see what happens. I'm also now actually thinking about how exactly I'm going to model this house, and the way I'm going to do it is first focus on the outside. Going from floor to floor, obviously starting at the base, modeling elements for it, and then putting it together before continuing onwards to the next floor. I still need to make a floor plan, but future me can figure that one out. For now, I'm just going to model something simple that I can build off of. It's not the best idea to start a project without proper planning, and blind optimism is definitely playing a role here. But I spent way too long figuring out and drawing the concept of just the front of the house, and I just really want to model something. I'll actually make decent floor plans after this, and probably also draw concepts for the sides and the back of the house. But did I mention that I really want to model something? Because I do. I want to model something. So I've decided I'm going to work on the arches and the base of the pillars that go between them, as well as the wall that they're attached to. I won't actually be putting them together to make the base of the house quite yet, since I really need to do some math and proper planning first, but just having the assets modeled already helps a lot. Now, for the modeling. So, starting off, I'm reusing some of the work I did on the door for the archways, namely the upper arch and the impost block, or a block that serves as a base where the arch can be built upon, that I had set aside, both because I want them to have a similar design and to save time on modeling something I've already worked on. So, the arch should theoretically be the easiest thing to model. Just put a stack of blocks under the arch's springing line, which is where the curve of the arch begins, combine it, and merge the vertices together to make it all one object. Alas, I overlooked a bit of an issue with the mesh, namely that the top of the mesh had a different numerical amount of verts than the bottom of it. It's an easy fix though. I redid my edge loops and vertex placement and rebuilt the base. Of course, I have to make sure that the arch has the same dimensions as the door for consistency's sake, and so I use the model door as a reference. The arch from the door had a similar problem as the impost block, where the vertices just don't match. So I clean up the whole thing a bit more to make sure that there's no unnecessary polygons or weird geometry and that everything is aligned well enough. Finally, I did a couple of extra tweaks here and there until I was happy with how the archway ended up looking. Onwards to the pillar. This one was a bit of a doozy to model, if only because I wasn't entirely certain on how I wanted to go about it, both in terms of the material I'd want them to be, with me wish-washing between wood and a different variety of stone, and also how much I wanted to save on polygons. I went over this in my previous video, but in short, the more detailed you make your model, the more polygons it will have, and the slower the program will process things. It's a big juggling act of detail versus optimization. So, I tried making it as close to my reference as possible, modeling it to fit the archways, and push comes to shove, I can come back and change it in the future if I end up not liking how it looks. The pillar is not even going to be complete right now, as it extends to the first floor, and I currently want to prioritize the ground floor. So, it's fine. For the walls, I want them to be brick. In Venice, in order to keep the homes from being too heavy and sinking, they would have the base and details be made out of marble, and the rest brick. I quite like the look of it, so that's my inspiration. It also allows me the chance to have more model textures in the build, and not to mention, they've got the benefit of being pretty simple to model since, realistically, it's just going to be a plane with extruded faces. I also made sure to model the bricks in a way so that I could stack them and just merge them together if I ever want to use them somewhere else. Realistically, the hardest part was making said plane fit to the arches without any visual clipping. For that, I used the knife tool, which is pretty good at putting edges wherever you want them on the mesh. All I had to do after was delete all unnecessary faces and do a little bit of cleanup. All that's missing now is the beam that goes on top of the wall and separates the two floors. So I'm gonna work on the pillars a bit more. Okay, let me explain. Halfway through modeling this, I realized you will absolutely be able to see the backside of it all, since it'll be a hallway on the inside and I do intend on using every single corner of this house. So I figured I might as well make the pillar nice on both ends. I also decided to make a version of the pillar that can go around the archway as an end piece, just in case I need it later. Now that we're done with that, back to the beam. Originally, it really was going to be just a potential wooden slab, but that's just boring. So I perused around for a marble trim inspo and decided to go for this style. Also found in a Venetian building, minus the swirly bits. Now, you'll see me try to model it top to bottom, and find myself utterly unimpressed with how it ends up looking. It's quite normal to spend a sum of time on something that just doesn't quite work, and I've got way too much experience losing hours and hours of good work thanks to the infamous Maya crashes that only ever come when you're really happy with your work and you forget to save. I've long since learned not to get attached, and be completely comfortable starting from zero regardless of the reason. And so I was quite happy to just give up on this iteration and try again to hopefully get something better. Which I believe was well worth the effort. This time I started from the bottom and worked my way up, and I think that definitely made the difference. I used a lot less polygons, it looked better overall, and, like the brick wall, I can just keep stacking them on the side to have a longer version of the trim if I ever need it. Finish it all up with some cleanup, and bada bing, bada boom, we have a good foundation to start making the ground floor. After proper planning, of course. It's been quite an enjoyable task figuring out the overall look of the house, especially with the indecision of what styles I want to borrow from, and honestly, I still find myself wanting to go back and change things here or there to look a little bit more Rococo, or Gothic, or Moorish, etc. But I'll be good and stick to what I have so far. And modeling it has been an absolute delight, and I'm very excited to have you join me on this journey. I'm also quite flabbergasted by the fact that I've almost 1,000 subscribers as of the release of this video. It genuinely warms my heart that so many of you enjoy watching my content, even if it takes what feels like an eternity to get a video out. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next, hopefully shorter eternity. Bye-bye for now!